Hi, thanks for tuning in to my official YouTube channel. I'm Reverend MeeLing, Reverend Susan MeeLing, Susan MeeLing, Lady Dori, Belle. I've been known by a few names. So, I read this tweet by Ice-T, and I really enjoyed listening to his music when I was, if it's the same guy, I really enjoyed listening to his music when I was growing up in New Jersey, specifically walking around certain areas of New York and the 5 boroughs. That was where I was usually able to listen to his music because my biological parents, if I actually listened to that in the house when I was growing up, I'd have gotten in so much trouble. And then I would have dealt with the consequences of that in so many ways. Anyway, so this particular tweet that Ice-T had written was in reference to if something had ever happened to one of his children. And I was in the process of responding to it, and then it was one of those, well, I might as well just make an official YouTube video about it. So my response essentially was going to be, well, I don't want to go to prison. That's kind of my thing. Like, I understand that certain things are worthwhile in that regard, in certain ways. And then there is the aspects of some other stuff and certain responsibilities. And so, for example, you know, when the events of 9/11 occurred, I had to make sure of certain aspects being taken care of, and safety and stuff like that. And then the aspects of the after effects of that. Now, depending on what you believe spiritually and religiously, depends on how you view certain things. So, you know, the head injury on Palm Sunday in 2000 during basic training, that whole thing. Not forgetting the whole landing at the bottom of the ocean safely and surfacing, that whole thing. However, my now dead ex-husband, when he was alive, he had not paid attention to my warnings. Similarly to the way my biological mother and biological father, biological sister did not pay attention to my warnings. Similarly, even congregants at Old Tenant Presbyterian Church had not wanted to heed my warnings when it came to essentially exhuming the original pastor of the church at Old Tenant Presbyterian Church. They didn't want to heed my warnings. A bunch of individuals that just, for whatever excuses that they had, they just didn't want to heed my warnings over and over and over again. I cannot tell you how annoying that truly is. It truly is so annoying how many times I have given warnings and nobody wanted to listen at that time. And then only after, you know, everything came to be, it was, gee, probably should have listened to her. Like, for example, at Old Tenant Presbyterian Church, only after they didn't heed my warnings and, you know, went to and removed, not only removed the casket of the original pastor of Old Tenant Presbyterian Church, who, by the way, General George Washington had demanded that original pastor, William Tennant, to remain in the ground underneath the center aisle of the church of Old Town Presbyterian Church to prevent the British during the Revolutionary War from desecrating his grave. That was why General George Washington had said, put him there. And so when I had been at the church official meeting in regards to the basement that was originally going to be put in, I rose my hand. Pastor Mackenzie, what about this? So on and so forth. Everybody at church makes fun of me because of the way I walk around that particular vicinity. I was told, it was just an old wives' tale, and I was just being a child. Yeah, however, it still is true. And so, they didn't want to listen to me. So then, they put it in the basement, and then they had another meeting because, surprise, surprise, the construction company found the casket, but, had to have a meeting to see whether or not to remove it, and just to be on the safe side, go and check that. So again, raise my hand. Oh, what? Well, don't you think that it was enough to find the casket there? Don't you think you should just leave it there? I'm warning you, you should. No, it's just an old wives' tale, blah, blah, blah. So then they removed the casket and didn't heed my warning. Then when they opened the casket to then see the Bible in the pastor's skeletal hands, did they leave it there? No. They removed the Bible from his literal cold dead hands. And then, let's just put him in a new casket. Why can't you just leave him in the casket that he was originally in? Why can't you just not bother that? Oh, it's no big deal, Susan. You're just being a child. I'm warning you. It's a really good idea to listen to me. I'm just saying, no, you're just a child. What do you know, Susan? I don't know. I knew that the casket was there. I knew you shouldn't have done the construction. I knew you shouldn't do this. And I know that you should not replace his casket. I'm just giving you that warning. No, Susan, you're just a child. What do you know? Oh, okay. I know that I have given you a whole bunch of warnings that you just don't want to listen to. I really don't know why, because, you have the proof that I was accurate. Oh, you're just being a child. I am, but not. I'm still giving you warnings. So then, lo and behold, after they put him into a new casket, reburied him, and then put up a wall to go around, and a little plaque to be like, and here lies the remains of the original pastor, and all that stuff. All of a sudden there were hauntings from the spirit of the original pastor of the church. All of a sudden, just magically started happening that people thought that they saw the pastor at the time, Reverend Hugh Mackenzie's cloak going around the corner, and would go around and round in circles for hours, losing track of all sorts of time. To then, no longer see it after a minimum of 2.5 hours passed by. Minimum. There were people in the congregation of the church that had actually chased that pastor's cloak around the corner for like, what was it? I think the longest time was about 5 or 6 hours. Not realizing how much time had gone by. And so, then, again, another meeting. Well, hey. Remember how I warned you about this? Remember how I was like, you shouldn't do that? Yeah, so what are you gonna do to fix it? Susan, you're just a child. Okay. So you don't want my suggestion to fix that? No, you're just a child. What would you possibly, don't even want to ask what you would recommend to fix that. Oh. Okay. Sure. So after my head injury on Palm Sunday in 2000, after I fought to be emancipated, that whole thing in regards to being able to join the United States of America's Armed Forces, and the entire time of telling my biological mother and biological father it was imperative that I join. It was mandatory. I had to. They tried to say it was just a phase over and over and over again. No, it's not just a phase. Because if it was just a phase, then back in the early 1990s, I would have stopped trying to figure my way as far as that's concerned, right? Okay, so 2000, they still thought it was a phase. Early 1990s to 2000. I mean, that's a really long phase to bring up that I'm gonna go into the military for the United States of America's Armed Forces. It's a really long time. Every day. So, then I after graduating a semester early, finally got them to sign the paperwork so I could be emancipated. And then, still was made fun of for my nightmare later dream as far as this stuff was concerned. I was just being a teenager at that point. It's just a typical teenager. No, most likely the typical teenager in the late 1990s, early, beginning portion of 2000 were not trying to fight their way to go into the United States of America's Armed Forces. Probably not. I don't know how many people would have actually been doing that at that time. However, I know I was. I do. And they do too. As does the Army. For the United States of America's Armed Forces. They know that. The government for the United States of America knows that I had attempted to get into Marine and Science Technology School, which has a naval academy. They know that I fought to be emancipated from my biological parents for 3 months on a continuous basis. They know that I had been enrolled into McHenry County College, or McHenry County Community College, and I dropped out on my own. They know that I fought with my biological parents. Maybe not necessarily every day, but they know that I did before I was able to join. They know what my ASVAB score was. They know about all that sort of stuff because, what type of 17-year-old female is going to go to that level to attempt to do everything possible to join the United States of America's Armed Forces. And so unless there are other 17-year-old females who did that repeatedly after, bringing up the nightmare and blah, 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 later turned dream, so on and so forth, and all that other stuff, I guess I'd be the only one. And so I had given a bunch of people a whole bunch of warnings over the years. Like, hey, you should, like, not do that. I mean, you're going to make your own choices, but you should heed my warning. And so, you know, later on it was, oh, well, I guess you were right. Oh. Really? It took that much to... Oh, okay, fine. Whatever, right? Then came, you know, the aspects of being married to my now dead ex-husband when he was alive and all that before the final separation. Isn't that funny? Final level is what iced tea is as far as the Twitter name thingamabob. And so during the time before the first separation, I had told my now dead ex-husband, do not touch my meditation tools. Do not go in there. Do not open that. Do not. And then when it was just before the first separation, went and did it. Not only did he do that, he went and used my meditation tools. After a whole bunch of stuff, I had informed him that that was the first level of my warning that he should not do. Because if he continued on a certain path, he would continue to seal his fate. And then in turn, condemn a whole bunch of people. And mainly because he would owe me a lot. So then another time, second warning. This is before the first separation. Then after the first separation, and then getting back together, then there was the third time not heeding my warning, which led to the second and final separation, another not heeding my warning. And then, after the final separation, another warning. Another one. As far as those fucking meat tags. Then another warning. After he returned from being injured in Iraq. And then one final warning shortly before he started confessing, telling me he didn't believe in God, but he felt the need to confess to me all the different times that he cheated on me. And I warned him one more time. Do you remember all those things? Yeah, okay. There will be a point where your debts to me will be called upon, and you will pay those debts in full. And his response was, well, how? I was, oh, because you'll get instructions. Don't worry, you will. Oh, whatever. Okay. So then, pausing briefly, Cactus Jack, also known as Jeffrey Kirkendall Jr. Well, he didn't want to heed my warnings when he wanted to do something as far as a spiritual aspect. Those warnings came into fruition just as the Jade Wolf Coven, how I had given those 3 females warnings. They didn't want to listen to me. They didn't want to heed my warnings. So, they got the dead blood. Isn't it funny? There's that really funny movie called Deadpool or something like that. Really like that movie. It's a funny guy. Really funny. Anyway, so then, actually forced myself to watch that movie. But yeah, it's a funny movie. Really funny movie, nonetheless. In other regards, when it came to my now dead ex-husband's funeral, I had warned my ex-sisters-in-law not to do certain things, multiple different ways. I had warned my nieces of my or children of my ex-sister-in-law not to do certain things. They didn't heed my warnings, which, going to that final level, was literally the final aspect in regards to the rituals that were already set in motion. I warned them not to. I told them there were other ways. They didn't want to listen. They didn't want to heed my warnings. And so, you know, I had given many warnings. Many warnings. Very few wanted to listen in certain regards. There were those who did, that paid attention and were like, you know what, that makes sense. And so, you know, we'll take it into consideration. And then, you know, common sense is a superpower is a joke that I've made. And, you know, certain things just made so much sense that it was just, yeah, you know what, that works. Yeah, that's like really fantastic. Awesome. So, then there was what happened to my daughter. And I had given McCoy Elementary School staff members of Carrollton Farmers Branch Independent School District many warnings. Many warnings. They didn't want to listen to me. They didn't want to heed my advice. And then, just time and time again, multiple individuals just didn't want to listen to me. Either said, I care too much about my children, or I care too much about military guys, or I care too much about whatever. I gave warnings over and over again. Then those same people who told me I care too much about my children, military guys, and went over their thoughts of what was important. I gave them warnings about health care. Gave them warnings. All those college students gave them lots of warnings. They didn't want to listen to me. They thought that they knew better. My biological sister being one of them. She did go to college and get her master's degree. She didn't want to heed my warnings. Just like my biological mother didn't want to heed my warnings repeatedly. Even when it came to the aspects, again, of my daughter and my son, both my ex-in-laws as well as my biological family didn't want to heed my warnings. And so in reference to the aspects of iced teas post in that regard. Well, isn't it fantastic that there's that constitutional right of religious freedom? And then there's my Medal of Honor art project. And I had given warnings. I had said, nobody should be where I am when I go for the solar eclipse of 2017. No one should be there. That was a warning. It was not a challenge. Unless I flat out say, I challenge you, comprehend, it's a warning. And so there were those individuals who were there. They thought that whatever they thought as they sat in the cemetery, sitting, some of them on the ground, others sitting on top of markers, others using markers as tables for their food. So in that aspect of what I was going to respond in reference to iced teas, commentary in that regard, what I was in the process of writing was, I would condemn them to what I warned about. I would condemn them. And the only way that they'd ever be absolved is if they confess to me in person. Otherwise, they're condemned for eternity for what they did. And so they would essentially meet their maker one way or another, because I'm the one who spoke when the events occurred on 9/11. I'm the one who, after having fought to be emancipated to join the United States of America's armed forces, who had discussed my nightmare turned dream later with multiple individuals in New Jersey, in Illinois, and then when I was in the Army. I'm the one who gave multiple warnings over and over again. And that doesn't even take into consideration scuba diving now, does it? No, it doesn't. That was a rhetorical aspect. Fully admit that. So yes. Hi. How are you? You know who I am. And so, you know, the aspects of, if I knew you beforehand, you know you met your maker. And if you cause problems to my children, you know who you chose. And only through me did you, number one, get that choice. And number two, only through me can you get that redemption. Only through me can you attempt to get that forgiveness. But if you cause problems to my son, if you cause problems to my daughter, know that you will never get my forgiveness. Ever. If you cause problems maliciously to my Medal of Honor art project, well, you know now, don't you? Because there's only one who can raise the dead. Hello. That would be me. And I'm really angry about my Medal of Honor art project being messed with maliciously. I know that there are those who had to intervene because they just saw way too many coinkydinks for the safety aspect. You cherubim ones should really thank the compassionate, honorable, and righteous ones, because maybe they will have mercy on you. I, on the other hand, will not. Ever. And since my dead ex-husband owes me so much, well, you know, there's a joke that my now ex-boyfriend had made the night of the Stoney LaRue concert in reference to Kevin. And he had said, "It's funny, I almost thought I watched you devour his soul." You did. Although he thought I was kidding. And then there was the little boy with the W socks. And, well, he himself told the boy with the W socks he had seen me devour someone's soul before, and he was not willing to put his soul in jeopardy for that little boy. So, you know, if there were some people who thought that that would be a good idea just to tempt fate, it was your own fate that you tempted, not mine. Do you feel so good about yourselves now? Do you feel special? Are you still so proud of yourselves for causing problems to my Medal of Honor art project after causing problems to my son and my daughter? Just because of your issues with me. If so, then you don't need my forgiveness, right? You don't have any repentance or amends to make, right? In your minds? To each their own. Enjoy.